the lost city of Atlantis, the Roanoke colony, Jack the Ripper.
Where's Waldo?
On August 12, 1998, all of America played Where's Waldo one last time on CNN. There he is.
Mysteries encompass the world, and that includes the online world. And today, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching, we will be talking about the scariest internet mysteries. Before we fully jump in, if you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, it's good to see you again. Alright, let's get into it.
There are claims that almost 1,300 computers were infiltrated, 1,295 to be precise, in 103 countries. Up to 30% were considered to be high-value targets.
Internet espionage, GhostNet. GhostNet is a large-scale cyber spying operation that was discovered in 2009, and their primary targets were governments, activists, and other organizations all over the world. And all over the world included 103 countries, and places of note were embassies, foreign ministries, government offices, as well as Dalai Lama exile centers in London, India, and even New York City. The origin of the spyware is kind of unknown, hence the mystery. And to cover my stupid ass, everything I'm about to say is hypothetical. And I personally think the Chinese government can do no wrong, and they don't spy on anyone. Hell, frankly, I think any government can do no wrong. We should trust every government. But yeah, there's no proof that links anyone to anyone. But if there were for GhostNet, it'd be in the Republic of China. And I know how hard that is to believe, because China has never had any sort of spying controversy. But if I were to believe it was from the area of China, what I would point to is the Toronto Citizens Lab report, where they confirmed this program with one motive, and that was to spy on people, was in fact based in China. The program was enacted by having a victim click and download malware virus, and this virus was known as GhostRat, and it's just a simple Trojan horse. It usually found success through phishing emails, which come on. Granted, these phishing emails look like they came from a trusted source. It's still, this is the government we're talking about. Government people and agents and employees, they clicked on a link that they got in an email, which one of the first things I learned when I was allowed to touch a computer was not to click on links.
I was searching around the internet, and all of a sudden, I was downloading this thing, and I got a computer virus.
Once the victim downloaded the malware, the perpetrators had full access to their computers, and from there they would gather information that could be of use to them.
This does appear to have been a very sophisticated cyber espionage attack. Not only did it infiltrate email, being able to intercept and resend email, but also this malware or spyware could actually take control of a computer, activating cameras and recording devices. So it was very sophisticated without the user even knowing that it had in fact been hit by this kind of program, Christy.
The program would usually disguise itself as something else, like Roblox. To this day, we don't know exactly who stole the information or what information off of 1,295 computers, or why, but it makes it one of the more uneasy internet mysteries, especially knowing how easy it is just to infiltrate so many countries. Here's a phishing email. Oh, got your files. When this hack came out, I would have been a little piss eater, so I didn't really care about what was happening with spyware and espionage. But if you were in tune with the news at the time, then I'd love to hear what it was like. The Internet Time Traveler, John Titor. John Titor, or Time Travel _0, are fake names that was prevalent on the internet in the late 90s, but more so in 2000. As someone with the handle Time Travel _0 would post on online forums claiming he was an American military time traveler. He was from the year of 2036, and he would warn us from the past, but in the present, about inevitable wars and death and destruction and horrible, horrible things that were to come. Woo! The user said his name was John Titor, and he would give predictions or just foreshadow the future for us, while also talking about his past adventures as well as how he got here with his time machine. Hell, he even gave us little diagrams so we can figure out how time machine works and time travel from John Titor, a guy who time traveled to let the internet on online forums know about wars that were soon to break out. Because people on the internet is who he should have told, instead of governments. And you might be hearing a sense of disbelief in my voice. However, there's a good amount of people who believed in what he was saying. I mean, just look at a diagram. Since he made a diagram, it has to be right. Stats. Obviously, there was a good amount of people who were just like, this is some bullshit. And we can see it's the waste of a bull with his predictions of wars, particularly what would happen with America and Russia. For example, John proclaimed that there would be another civil war by the year 2015. as well as a nuclear strike against America that was a surprise strike somehow that wiped out most of America's infrastructure. And he came from a time where America was like the Old West and everyone was separated into factions and were trying to survive in the Fallout world. And there's a legendary ghoul, but also that didn't happen. And there wasn't a civil war. So John Titor may be lying here. And I'm under the impression that more people believed in what they read on the internet, especially when the internet first became accessible to mass amounts of people. Not saying that everyone believed everything, but I don't think people had the media literacy to realize that some people were lying to them on the internet back in the day, or today. However, there are some people who actually believe in John Titor's words, like myself. That's right, I just gaslighted y'all into thinking that I don't believe in a time traveler. Some people think that John Titor's words on online forums persuade us away from nuclear fallout, us as an Americans. Sorry, Russia, you didn't get one on us.
We're gonna be okay.
But there's a good amount of people who genuinely believe that John Titor actually changed history. Now, personally, what I think disproves the fact that this American soldier is a time traveler is history. Because supposedly this American soldier, John Titor, came back to America in 2000 to warn America, and yet he failed to mention something pretty big that would happen in America that happened a year after. Probably could have used a warning there, man. Obviously the mystery isn't so much if this guy's a time traveler or not, although that is part of it. Some people genuinely think this guy was real and legit and was a time traveler. But the bigger mystery is no one's come forward in saying that they are John Titor, aka time traveler _0. What made this internet mystery scary was specifically the time, because today in 2025 we can be like, yeah, this is just stupid. But back in 2000, not only did Mr. Time Traveler over here capitalize on the fact that there was something new that not many people had gotten used to, and that was the internet. But he or she, or however they identify, they never have been. And I think that's the coolest part. Someone was just like, I'm gonna mess with people. Bada bing, peace. People who do believe that John Titor is legit would point to things such as how Russia is constantly in wars. So people will point to that and be like, see, Russia's violent, and he warned us about them being violent towards us. People who believe also point to all the tension that does go on in the United States. But as a proud American, very proud, we've always had tension. If you do believe in John Titor, then let me know, and then let me know how many mental disabilities you have. I got 2, but I want more. A game made on the dark web, Sad Satan. Sad Satan is a Microsoft Windows platform game, released sometime around or in 2015. It's a single player game and it follows your character as you're in first person. And are you ready for some riveting gameplay? You walk, and when you're walking, flashes of gore and loud noises.
What the fuck is that?
Boo. That's oversimplifying it, and you might already see my disdain for this, but the game is very simple. You walk down a very dimly lit setting, those easy to render hallway type games, and it's either black and white with gray shading or black and red with red shading. And the images that pop up can be different on the 2 different versions of the game that were so-called released. And those images, as well as the origin, made the game so famous. Or rather infamous. So before I fully dive into the disturbing part of this, you need to know about the 2 versions of the game that were released. The first version of the game was released on the YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner, aka Jamie. And I'm gonna go with Jamie because obscure is a hard word for me to say, and I'm just a big dumb idiot. I'm sorry, I had a bad week. This girl said, hey, you wanna go see Superman? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then she never showed up. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude. I didn't want to go see the movie alone because then I feel like people would look at me and be like, that guy's alone and he looks very tired with his raccoon eyes. I hope he doesn't.
Tonight, breaking news.
You didn't need to hear that, and you don't need to tell anyone about it. The first game, or rather gameplay footage, came out on the YouTube channel. And in the original gameplay, there's really no disturbing images, at least compared to the second version. What the first game has to offer are things you've seen all the time, so distorted faces and loud noises with a shit ton of bass and distort on it. It is a jump scare game with very, very little lore that pretty much the audience came up with. However, some of the images that are distorted, while they're not like corpses or real life dead people, they have horrifying real life implications to them. For example, this fella right here, kind of a weird edited photo, kind of creepy. What's even creepier is he had Nazi affiliation. Or bad guys in World War II. Thanks, YouTube. Or here's a fun image. Satomo Miyazaki, otherwise known as the Atuko Murderer, or the Little Girl Murderer, or the Rat Man, and Dracula, which we need to stop giving, like, nicknames to serial killers. It's giving them too much power. We should just skin them and then make sure they're still alive and then throw them in a sewer. Anyway, you might know this serial killer because he was the one who murdered 4 young girls and then did things to their dead bodies. And then since he was a big fan of anime, he thought it'd be a really sick and twisted game if he sent body parts of the victims to the victims' parents. So that's that piece of shit. He's dead, so oh no. But there's things like that, and same with the audio, where it can be disturbing if you look into it. And this first version went viral. Obscure Horror Corner claimed that he received an anonymous tip from an anonymous subscriber about this game and where to find it. And that anonymous source says that the game came from the dark web, more specifically on a forum in there, and it was developed by someone under the alias ZK. So Obscure Horror Corner got it from a guy who got it from a guy. Yet despite the viral sensation that the couple of videos about Sad Satan gained on Obscure Horror Corner's channel, he didn't want to link the game because of its graphic content. But thank goodness for 4chan users. Whoopee! Because a 4chan user, supposedly 19 minutes after the videos on Obscure Horror Internet's channel were uploaded, a 4chan user uploaded a link saying, hey guys, this is the game. And it kind of was. Now here's a quick question for you guys out there, and this isn't for y'all who don't know what 4chan is. God bless you. Like, genuinely. Would you trust a 4chan user? Perfect. So, the link had the game on it, but it also had malware and all sorts of viruses. However, for the people who were smart and just looked into the files of the game, they noticed that there were some illegal images of children on there, as well as mutilated corpses. I saw a picture of Pablo Escobar's body there. It was very distorted again. There's a picture of someone with their head cut off. Mutilations. Just a bunch of stuff to make an already edgy game edgier. And here's where Sad Satan truly blew up. Morbid curiosity claims so many people's minds, including mine. I mean, my whole channel is horror and watching fake people die. So the second version of the game scratched the itch of all the morbidly curious people out there. And on top of that, they pretty much had a teaser trailer with the original game. But where does the mystery come in? Well, no one truly knows where the original game is, nor do they know who created it, or when it was truly created, and frankly, people don't really know what the lore is in the game. I'll give you what's most accepted, but even then it's like, I watched all the videos, there's nothing there for me to get. So the gameplay's just walking, so it's a lot like Death Stranding. You walk, and you find sad little girls. And there's, I think, 4 little girls in total, who are very sad, and loud. I feel good! And these girls are all victims of criminals, and supposedly, the video game is about child abuse. And the character you play is either deemed as a child abuser or a child who was abused. And if we went with you were the child abuser, then you were killed somehow and now you're stuck in purgatory and this is your hell. And you're being tortured by all the souls that you either abused or killed. Or if we look at it as if your character is a child who was abused and killed, you were abused and killed and now you're stuck in purgatory. And in the original game, there's a lot of crying from the little girls, all while showing graphic and shocking photos. In the second version, where people just created a video game that was just a shock video game, it enhanced the theory that the game is about child abuse because of all the gore and specifically the child, which the latter half of those images is why so many people know about Sad Satan. And no one has ever came out and said that they created Sad Satan. No one was like, yep, I'm ZK. The anonymous subscriber from Obscure Horror Corner never came out. Obscure Horror Corner stopped posting after Sad Satan. There's been really no answer to what this game is about or who made it. However, there's a very strong theory that I would agree with, and that is Obscure Horror Corner created the video game itself, as well as the other version known as the clone version. That's the version that had the straight up gore in it. So Obscure Horror Corner had always posted videos about horror video games, obscure horror video games. It's in the name. He quite literally picked the perfect name. I'm over here with 2 bears. But if you look at their channel now, you can see that Sad Satan has so many more views than every single other video. And many people think that the initial uploads were just a ruse to gain popularity and views, as kind of like a horror art installation. And their channel did blow up after Sad Satan, so it does support that idea. And there's many other examples of horror media that have the false pretense that the uploader is actually involved in the story unraveling. I think the biggest example is Ted the Caver. not acknowledging the fact that it was a made-up story. I think Obscure Horror Corner made the initial video of Sad Satan and either made the game or just made a very good edited video. I'm guessing they made a game and then recorded it. And I kind of got the vibe that it was just a surreal horror game that was trying to be edgy and shock you and scare you, rather than it being about child abuse. And I will literally point to one specific part, and that's whenever someone just throws up Goat Man and like a pentagram. I feel like you're trying a bit too hard. Unless it's ironically, like, I love cheese. Yeah, I think the original is just an edgy, surreal art game. And I have a disdain for edginess, but I think it really works here. It's enticing, and it really reminds me of a lot of the storytelling that can be seen through horror internet media that sprung out late in the 2010s. But the fact that the channel stopped uploading videos after Sad Satan was released, that is kind of weird. Now, for the clone version of the video game that showed illegal pictures, as well as like just corpses and mutilated stuff and nasty, yucky bits, I'd like to think that Obscure Horror Corner didn't make that one, and it was just someone on 4chan who saw it, took it, and then just edited it real quick, and then posted it on 4chan along with other viruses and stuff. And to support that claim, people are especially on 4chan, and someone saw the video, it became popular, people were commenting, hey, where's the game, where can I download this? And this guy was like, I have an idea. And not only did they add viruses to mess with people, like physically, well, you know, physically, but they added shocking material to mess with them mentally. Especially the illegal pictures of children. If you don't know much about 4chan, all you really need to know is, don't go there, but 2, they don't have a great track record when it comes to young children and topics about them. So it really wouldn't surprise me if some screwed up person was just like, I'm gonna take this art and then screw it over. Or we could go with something worse, and hypothetically, Obscure Horror Corner was like, I can make this even edgier. And then he posted something illegal, and then now he can't post anymore, because you can't have a game that has illegal images in it, because that's sharing illegal images. But alas, I'm not Batman. I'm not even a mediocre detective. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Do you think Sad Satan was just an edgy art project that some asshole on 4chan turned into something a lot worse? Or do you think it was all just a giant ploy by Obscure Horror Corner just to get some views and they took it a bit too far? Or do you think Obscure Horror Corner is telling the truth and he just got it from a guy who got it from a guy on the dark web, and it's a dark web game? Let me know. And let me know what you think the game's lore is if you looked into it. Those are just some of the scariest internet mysteries that have graced the online world. If you enjoyed this breakdown of a fraction of the internet, then leaving a like really helps me out. And if you think I earned your subscription, then make sure you press that button in a gentle but firm way before you leave. I post something usually horror-oriented every week. And if there's some sort of scary internet mystery that I didn't include that is your niche, then let me know. Alright, see ya.
The fun was over.